All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is my custom D&D campaign, one of them. These are the players beneath me. And we might have some slightly strange tech issues because Roll20 is amazing and doesn't like video chat working. So yeah. To get us back into the game, couple sessions ago, you guys finally made it to your meeting with Preacher's contact, who you found out was the king of Valakovia. And after discussing some things with him, he requested that you guys go back to Sanguinius and find out exactly who was involved with this, what you now learned was a rift into the elemental plane of fire. And you guys mentioned, oh, they're trying to kill us. And the king said, hey, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he did. You guys got to the closest city and were treated like heroes and learned that the real culprits had been caught and executed. And so you guys did a little bit of shopping, got ready, and started heading off with your very own wagon and horses that you purchased to head out and head back to Sanguinius. And as you guys were going, you saw a woman and child trying to get in trying to get into a caravan, and them being rather forcefully expelled from it. And as you guys learned a little bit more, you found out that her husband was one of the people executed in your place. And she claimed that he was innocent and said some rather nasty things to you guys. And that's where we left it. So I think you guys had a day or two on the road, or am I misremembering?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had arrived at the Temple of the Wide Sage.
Okay. Good. So, it's been since you guys are traveling on the major tradeway, it only took you about 5-ish days to make it to the Temple of the Wise Sage. So you made some good time. And I believe you guys put your horses and wagons and got them a stable and went into the city itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there anything specific you guys wanted to do in the? Oh yeah. I think some of you were going to the library, and was there another place you guys were going?
I was also going to the library.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to the tavern.
Okay. So Argenta, just so I know who's going where. Argenta's going to the tavern. Val and Henri are going to the library. Lillian, Commander, where are you guys going? We'll go Lillian first.
I'll go library, okay.
Okay. And then Commander?
I guess I go to the library.
Okay. So Argenta, you kind of head off on your own to find a tavern. Are you looking for just a tavern or tavern and inn?
A tavern where travelers would go. So tavern and inn would work pretty
Okay.
well for that.
So we'll deal with that in a little bit. Argenta kind of waves goodbye to you guys and heads off to look for a decent sized tavern. The rest of you guys, you head into the actual temple of the Temple of the Wise Sage, which is located the very center of the city, and it's pretty massive. As you come in, you can see various acolytes walking around. You can see a few clerics, and you also see every so often you'll see a paladin. Some of them, carrying massive shields and swords or war hammers on them. Some of them with mauls or great swords, but they're pretty hard to miss. They're the most kind of militantly armed people, and really the only people in the temple that have weapons. Like the clerics may have a shield or that they have like wearing on their back or something, but for the most part the clerics aren't really geared for battle, that are staying here. So as you guys come in, you do see, as soon as you come in, there are books everywhere. There are bookshelves lining all the walls, and you can see there are multiple floors that you can see, and there's some areas that are kind of roped off, and other areas are just kind of open to the public itself. With your status, kind of the first barrier to entry here is just getting in the temple itself. And with your status, you guys had no problem getting in. So now that you're in, what do you want to do?
I guess I can go first. First, I do have a question,
Sure.
which I just whispered to you.
Okay. Good question. I will answer back.
So, guys, D&D Beyond.
Yeah. Sorry, this is a little boring to hear clickety clickety.
See, this is how do those billboards go? If you're looking for sponsorship, your message could be here. Just contact us at.
Okay. So that's your answer.
Okay. Okay. So, I guess Vala is going to try to research that, like her connection to the Dark Lady, because I get the feeling that she's always known it's been a little unusual.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But the fact that
The most obvious thing for you is that you would know personally. You don't cast any divine magic,
right.
so that from the get-go that kind of explains it. Okay, this connection's a little weird because somehow you get arcane abilities from a divine being.
Right. So, I guess, and the reaction when she said she was going to cleanse herself with fire, and everyone's reaction of why is to try to see if there is a link between the Dark Lady and light
Okay.
or energy or anything remotely, or if there are any similar threads to what she experiences.
Okay. So the question is, do you want to try looking through kind of the open library? Do you want to go immediately for one of the restricted sections, or do you want to ask an acolyte or cleric for help?
I think I'm going to try asking an acolyte or cleric.
Okay.
I would like to phone a friend.
All right. AT&T, get a friend on the phone for Vala. AT&T has nothing to do with his game, by the way. Just so I don't get a C and D from them. So as you look around, make me a perception check.
Okay. Well, 10.
So looking around, there's so much activity in here. You're having a hard time finding someone that's not busy. As you keep looking, you find basically two people that aren't currently helping other people. One of them is an acolyte, relatively young, probably no more than about 13 or 14. It's a young boy, and he has an armful of books that it looks like he keeps trying to put them away, and every time he comes up to a bookshelf, he realizes he's at the wrong one. The other person you see is a cleric wearing full ceremonial garb, actually has her holy symbol in her hand, and seems to be just kind of watching over everything. So who do you want to talk to?
I think I'm going to talk to the cleric.
Okay. So as you come over, she notices you and just kind of stares at you as you get closer and closer.
Hello. My name
Hello.
May
May the wisdom of the wise sage guide your life to its purpose.
It's funny you should say that. I am looking for wisdom and guidance towards my purpose.
Do you wish to take the vow and join our order?
I don't believe I'm quite ready for that yet.
And she kind of looks annoyed. Then why do you speak to the head of the temple?
Oh, you're the head of the temple. I apologize.
I am the head of the first floor of the temple. New initiates come to me for guidance and for entrance into the temple.
I am
How were
looking
you not aware of this?
I must have missed the pamphlet.
Fine. What wisdom may I bless you with?
I'm looking for some information on the Dark Lady, and perhaps
Why do you wish to learn about another god in our temple? Why not
know what?
simply go down to the Temple of the Dark Lady and find the information there?
I've come seeking wisdom.
You may proceed.
Are there any... Do you know... This is very strange. Do you know if there are any references to the Dark Lady being an emissary of light?
She looks at you kind of quizzically.
Or a patron of light?
Or the guiding beacon. It's the god of the sun and light and all the things that come with it. I've never heard anyone connect the Dark Lady to light. I do know those of her worship that channel her divine influence do sometimes glow with a deep indigo light. Beyond that, she
is the
is
guy
connected with darkness and the dead and evil, and this is not the kind of conversation one normally has in pleasant company.
is the guiding beacon then often associated with an intense an urge to spread the light
Yes,
wherever darkness falls?
that is the guiding beacon's prime calling. All the clerics of the guiding beacon wish to spread the light, to bring light to all darkened areas. It is one of the reasons why the guiding beacon and the Dark Lady do not generally get along with each other. At least their followers don't.
Does the guiding beacon create a propensity in their followers to destroy the undead?
Well, the undead are a perversion of life. All the gods are not
but I
particularly fond of it. The wise sage, through his mouthpiece here on the prime material plane, has told us that perversions like the undead should be dealt with, if for no other reason than they cloud the ability for wisdom to conquer. The undead cannot understand wisdom, they cannot gain knowledge, and therefore have no purpose in this world.
have any of the gods ever gifted their followers with? I know clerics often can cast divine magics. Do they ever give their followers the ability to cast arcane?
To pledge your life to the service of the gods is to be blessed with the divine power. Arcane magic is an arrogant form of magic. It is where mortals decide that they are wiser than the gods and decide to pervert the weave by using it themselves. That is what you call arcane magic. The gods would never bless someone with arcane magic, though the mouthpiece of the almighty Magus has claimed that she does encourage her followers to learn of arcane magic, for she is the one who created it, who monitors the weave.
Is there anywhere where I could learn more about this guiding beacon?
Well, we do have a section on the deities and various writings from some of their most profound prophets. However, special dispensation is required to go into those sections.
Would there be any way I could... Is there any way you could give me that dispensation, or someone I could talk to?
To gain entrance to the Hall of the Gods, you must make a plea in front of me and the paladins who guard that room
Hmm.
to tell us why you need this knowledge and what you will use it for. If you wish, I can attempt to send a page to summon the paladins, and you can make your plea here in front of all of the wise sage's children.
It's more of a delicate matter.
The wise sage wishes knowledge to be shared freely, and the only restrictions on knowledge are knowledge that could be used in a negative and destructive purpose. Are you trying to tell me that that is what you wish?
No. I don't
Then
know.
why
if
would you not want everyone to know? And
It's
the
more-
wise sage wishes all to learn from each other. Even our struggles, even our personal struggles, can be used to impart wisdom to others.
But is this in front of like a crowd or?
It would be in front of everyone here. You would simply stand there. I would get the paladins, and you would speak as we are currently speaking.
It might be best then if you summon the other paladins.
Acolyte, and she just points, and an acolyte that you didn't even realize was standing about 4 feet to your left just pops up. Yes, mistress. Go tell the paladins that guard the Hall of the Gods that this... what is your name?
Valaraven, the vigilante.
That Valor Raven wishes entrance. They will know what you mean. Off with you. And the acolyte runs off. As this is happening, obviously, Lillian, Henri, and Commander, you guys are all kind of watching this. Did you have anything you wanted to do while this was going on? Let's start with Lillian.
Not particularly, but I am paying attention to what they say about the lady.
Okay. So kind of listening and watching, gleaning what
Yeah.
information you can. Okay. Henri?
I want to find somebody and ask about books on the nobles of all houses, or in particular those that would be pertaining to our current agenda as well as my own personal one.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a perception check. While Val is waiting.
19.
So, looking around, you are much more used to people watching. And you pick out quite a few people. And you see a couple acolytes kind of running around, doing various things. And you actually pick out two different ones. One is an older boy, looks roughly about 17, 18, probably getting to the point where he would be able to take vows and become a paladin or cleric and start learning that trade. And he's kind of just standing off to the side, kind of observing, but you can see kind of a bored look on his face. And then you see a younger girl of about maybe 11 that's kind of just rushing around and goes up to literally just about every temple person you see, and you'll see her come up and go, "Is there something I can do?" and they'll kind of brush her off, and she just keeps getting brushed off over and over again as she walks around. And then you also see a paladin actually wandering around, obviously looking for something, but you're not sure what. And then a cleric that is just finished helping someone and is kind of tidying up the space they were at, they were at a table looking at some books. So from those four people, who do you want to approach?
With my background spending most of my life inside of a temple, would I know which one would be more beneficial to approach?
Yeah. Clerics, you would know. Clerics think very highly of themselves, and even the nice ones are going to be very much sticklers for the rules. Paladins, in general, are a little bit more kind of down to earth, but they're very action oriented. Acolytes are a bit hit or miss, but they're generally the easiest to kind of manipulate because they don't know any better.
I'll try one of the paladins.
Okay, so you walk up to this paladin. He's got a pretty massive greatsword on his back, and he's been wandering around. You've seen him stop a couple people, and as you come up to him, he looks at you. He actually has a full helmet with face mask on, and he turns to you, not lifting the visor or anything. Just goes, "What can I do for you?"
Sorry to bother you, sir or ma'am. I'm looking for just books in general of nobility in Sanguinius, just to get more information on various houses.
And it's really hard to read him as you can't see his face or anything. But looking at the body language, he kind of shifts a little bit, tilts his head and goes, "And what would you want with that knowledge?"
Kind of pertains to what the king sent us to do.
Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
23.
So he looks at you, and you watch him reach, because he has a tabard over his armor with the holy symbol of the wise sage, and he reaches under it to grip something, and puts his gauntlet on your shoulder and just looks at you. And you watch him just stare at you for a little bit, and you can feel some sort of magic going on. And then he lifts his visor, and you can see this kind of scraggly face. He's got a bit of stubble. He's got a scar over one eye. And he looks even deeper at you, coming face to face with the mask. Finally goes, "Come with me." And he takes you kind of down a side passage and through some doors well beyond where the rest of the populace is. And suddenly you come to a room. There's a couple windows in the very top of the room letting some light in. And as he comes in, he goes and he lights a few lamps. He goes, "So, you're working for the king.
Yeah,
Might I recommend you keep that knowledge to yourself? There are many, especially once you leave the temple, there are many out there who would love nothing more than to capture someone working for the king, if for no other reason than to get whatever secrets they can out of him."
Really quick, out of character. I don't know what cast, but I do have Ring of Mind Shielding if it pertains to that.
No, he was casting guidance on himself to get a better insight check.
Uh,
Doesn't have to worry about ring of mind shielding when all he has to do is read your body language and your facial expression he can't see.
I mean, fair enough, but you're a paladin of the temple, so figured it was safe.
Yes, but you set it in a rather open place. I simply wish the agents of my king to be safe. This room contains, and he points over to one of the bookshelves. That is genealogy. It can trace the 13 houses all the way back to the original 13 vampires that came here from the Shadowfell and started their warring campaign before Sanguinius was even thought of. Points to another group of shelves. That is rough history of Sanguinius, as much as we were able to compile. They are very secretive. Points to another one. That section is about the various practices they have. You will not find anything on their blood magic. That is in a separate sealed vault that you do not have access to. He points to the last section. And that is section everything we know about daily life for the non-vampires. I will stay at the door, guarding, until you're finished. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Closes his visor, goes, and you hear the door shut behind him.
All right. I will start with the genealogy.
Okay. I'll have you roll me an investigation check as I go back to Commander. Actually, you're the only person that hasn't done anything yet.
19 on investigation.
Okay, we'll deal with that in a little bit. Commander, you've seen Vala getting kind of dressed down by the cleric. You did watch Henri go over and then get whisked away by a paladin. What do you want to do?
Actually, yeah, I want. Sorry. I wanted to retcon, and I want. We were staying at a hotel or an inn, right? Or did we just get in town?
You
didn't get a
literally just got in town, so Argenta went to go find an inn while looking for people.
Okay, I just wanted to. Okay, since we weren't in, I wanted to go help Argenta with that instead. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We'll deal with Argenta and you a little later.
Okay.
So, Vala, you wait for what seems like just an insane amount of time. Not fun at all, because you're just standing there in the middle, and as you're sitting there looking around, you start noticing people are actively avoiding this cleric. All the other clerics, people have no problem. Like, some people even just, oh, hi, how are you? And they'll have little bits of conversation. This one cleric, nobody's going within 10 feet of her.
So, I would like, since I did just level up, and I took another level in Warlock, I've learned the prestidigitation. So I just want to start. Oh, I'm going to start being like, oh, this could be fun, and I'm gonna go to start casting it, and then go, you know what? On second thought, no, I'm not gonna get in trouble for casting arcane magic in here.
So you're sitting there, and you start making the somatic signs for it, and you watch as the cleric's mouth drops and just gives you a look that if looks could kill, this is a disintegration. And you immediately go, good point. And it's not even like an oops. It's like, oh, good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you wait for a little bit more. She's getting more and more annoyed. After about 10 minutes pass, eventually, two paladins come down. Again, fully decked out and geared, tabard with the Temple of the the Wise Sage's holy symbol on it. And they come down. They both take a knee, bow to the cleric, and then stand up. The cleric goes, "This one wishes to gain knowledge from the Hall of the Gods. Valraven,
Yes.
present your plea."
I seek wisdom, and I know this is the best place to get wisdom in all of the three kingdoms. I am lost, and I am perhaps in over my head, and I want to get a better understanding of what may be going on. I seek knowledge on the guiding beacon and the Dark Lady.
And as you say the guiding beacon, they don't seem phased by it. As soon as you say the Dark Lady, both the paladins kind of look between each other and then look back to you. Unfortunately, again, visors are down, so you can't tell what they're saying, but body language, they've stood up a little bit straighter. One of them, his hand actually drifted down towards the warhammer on his hip. And the other one, you watch one of his hands just slip underneath his tabard.
But if knowledge of the lady is too much or gives you pause, then I think that might have been the wrong track anyways. Now,
One of the paladins speaks up. "We would need to know what you wish to do with this knowledge."
I wish to understand something. I seem to have a connection to the light, and I want to understand more of it.
And then the cleric finally, her eyes kind of light up and her face softens. "Ah! You have heard the calling and have come to the wise sage to seek his guidance
Yes.
in whether you should answer. That makes much more sense. I do find it slightly bizarre that you can somehow confuse the calling of the guiding beacon with the calling of the Dark Lady. You are... oh, excuse me. Sorry. You are obviously very confused.
Yes.
Good paladins, it is my opinion that his motivation is just and is divined by the gods themselves. What is your decision? Good cleric, we have decided that we shall allow him to view some of the text in the Hall of the Gods under our direct supervision. Well, you have your answer then.
Thank you.
Go, Valraven. May the wisdom of the wise sage guide you to your purpose.
Thank you.
And she kind of goes back to being standoffish and aloof. And the paladins kind of flank you on either side and walk you to the back. They actually take you up some stairs, and you actually go to the third floor to a section that's kind of roped off. And you meet some paladins there. They put you through, and then you immediately take a left into a pretty elaborate doorway. And when you go in, you are put in this single story room that has um, has exactly 9 bookshelves, and the bookshelves themselves are relatively sparse. Like on the shelves only have 4 shelves, and on each shelf there's only maybe 3 or 4 books each, and above each one is a holy symbol uh, carved into the stone. And they first bring you over to the guiding beacon. They take a single book off the shelf. They place it on a table in the center of the room. And they go, "You may view this book. It is the writing of the most recent High Cleric of the Temple of the Guiding Beacon, detailing the various messages he has gleaned from his contact with the Guiding Beacon's message."
Thank
Then
you.
the other paladin goes over to the Dark Lady, and that one is even more sparse. There's 3 books there. And he takes one book. It's got a lot of dust on it. It's relatively thin. And he places it down. "This is the most recent writings of the High Cleric of the Dark Lady. Unfortunately, we have not had a High Cleric of the Dark Lady in about 200 years, so you may glean what you can from it." And they kind of stand there watching you.
Okay. I will begin with the guiding beacon.
Okay.
And
Go ahead and make me an investigation check.
Ooh. 11.
Okay. Excuse me. Looking over, it's a lot of commandments. There's a lot of stuff talking about how blessed it is to be the High Cleric of the Guiding Beacon. There's some other stuff about what the Guiding Beacon thinks about the other various gods. But there's, like, as you just kind of leaf through it, like a lot of it, if you were to sum it up in a word, it would be propaganda.
Got it. But there's no hint of a communion with the guiding beacon, which is anything like what I've experienced.
As you look through it, you do eventually, and it takes you a good, like, 45 minutes to find this, but you do eventually find a section where the High Cleric is basically talking about a situation where he was kind of able to commune with the Guiding Beacon, which is not something, like, just from common knowledge, that's not something that happens. Like, the gods are silent for the most part, and have been for all of time, as far as you know. So you've heard of people claiming they could speak to the gods. They're generally crazy people, or really, really high up clerics that claim the gods break their silence only to them. And as you read more of this, part of it sounds like a boast. Part of it sounds like a narcissistic dream. I mean, you almost get, like, Mary Sue vibes from it.
Got
As he's talking about the guiding beacon blessing him. But as you read it, you hear how he describes the interaction. None of it really fits with what happened to you. But you also don't really believe it.
Got
Like,
it.
again, this feels like propaganda. And this section itself sounds almost masturbatory. You know, him just stroking his own ego and talking about how great he is that the gods choose to speak to him.
Okay.
While that's going on, go back to Lillian. You did see Val, after a little while, you watched Vala kind of get marched off.
Did I see where, has we went?
Remind me what you were doing beforehand.
I went there with the to,
Oh,
Vala.
yeah. Yeah, you probably would have like glanced over and saw Henri kind of get taken away by Paladin, though you were focused on Vala, so you didn't really see the why. You just saw a Paladin take Henri away. So Vala went off. You probably would have tried to go with, and the Paladins would have basically said, "No, this is just for her."
Yeah, I was trying to go with Vala, and
Yeah,
when they didn't let me, I was asked what they have on Wikipedia in a vampire houses for history and that anything.
and the head cleric of the main floor would go, "Well, we do have our history section over there, though most of our information on Sanguinius is in its own vault, protected. But if you simply wish for a brief history, that bookshelf over there will have a brief history of Sanguinius and some of the major events of the country that have shaped it into what it was, or what it is today."
What do you have in that about them?
Well, more detailed information that the king has specifically asked not be disseminated to the public for fear of spies using it against us. The information in there could be used to possibly infer some of our techniques in gaining knowledge, and we wouldn't want that information falling into the wrong hands.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you can go through the same process your friend went through. I would simply have to...
Oh, but
Vala Raven, the one that was just here, she had to plead to the paladins that guard that particular vault. I can have one of them called and you can make your plea. What say you?
yeah, I'll make my food.
All right, then what is your name?
William,
Hugh.
Sarah.
Hugh, and she points to a young boy, acolyte, comes up. Tell the paladins that guard the Sanguinian vault that Lillian wishes to ask for passage. And he goes away. While that's happening, Henri.
Sorry, I was transcribing while I was waiting.
Oh, thank you. For those wondering at home, for some odd reason, Roll20 doesn't like everybody to be able to hear each other. So, two specific members of our party can't actually hear the other one, so we transcribe every so often. Henri, as you are, which one did you, which section did you go to first?
Genealogy, and I would be looking specifically for the
I know
Venom.
exactly what you're looking for.
Well, that also Venom Quest was the guy that we encountered in that camp. That's the other one.
Okay, cool. So, Venom Quest is actually not difficult to find. It takes you going through a few different books just to get the right one that has it. But eventually, you're able to find it's a minor vampire noble. He actually his family has been part of House Merovingian for about 3 generations. Before that, they don't exist, which generally means someone was turned to a vampire, and instead of taking the name of their sire, something happened that non-vampires don't really know why, but they decided to start their own house. And generally, when that happens, that house is subservient to the house of the sire, and in addition to that, they are subservient to the major house, the family and everything. So Venom Quest, that family has only been around for about 3 generations, and nothing they've done in those 3 generations has really done anything. Like there's nothing notable about them other than they exist. And their grand total, it seems that there's only been about 5 members of the house over those 3 generations. 2 couples, and then the most recent Venom Quest. The other information you're looking for, I will send you in a message.
Okay.
After the game. But the basics of it are there's only one reference that you do find that I'll send to you. All the rest aren't just missing. They seem to have been actively taken out of all other records.
I figured as much.
As that's going on, Liliana, can you wait for about 10 minutes? And eventually the page comes back and goes, "Very sorry, cleric, but someone is already viewing those, and the paladin has said that he must not be disturbed." That is very bizarre. But the paladins do have full authority to make that call. Very sorry, Lillian, you will unfortunately not be able to look at that information. But you are welcome to go to our history section and find what you may there.
I thank you for your time.
Of course. She goes back to being standoffish and aloof. While all this is going on, Commander and Argenta, you guys are wandering the street, kind of chit-chatting, looking around. Every so often, someone will, you think someone will recognize you, and they'll kind of smile, or kids will start whispering, but you've kind of gotten used to that. And as you're going through and just looking for a place, you turn a corner and immediately stop, as instinctively, Commander, your hand starts reaching for where you normally keep. What's your sidearm called again?
Fury.
Fury. Where you normally keep Fury, your hand just goes there instinctively, despite the fact it's not there. And Argenta, you immediately start reaching for a weapon as when you guys both turn the corner, you came to a wall of Bloodguard. Just staring at you. What would you like to do?
Actually, you know, I think we were supposed to go the other way. They said it was a left, not a right.
Yes.
As you say that, you hear from behind this wall of black and red armor. Oh, I don't think that's entirely necessary. Do you? And the Bloodguard parts, and a vampire walks forward. And you can see that the vampire himself, he has a young woman following him with kind of like a parasol type thing, because it is the middle of the day and they're not in Sanguinius. So to keep the direct sunlight off him, he has this little, probably like 12 to 14-year-old girl that's holding this parasol over him. If it isn't the falsely accused heroes.
Yes. And why are you here risking a sunburn?
Oh. Don't speak so standoffishly. My original purpose in this godforsaken country was to find you and bring you to justice. Obviously, mistakes were made. We accidentally saw you in the town. We accidentally have eyewitness statements. And we accidentally got it wrong, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you know, those things happen. Let's go.
In Vampire, I say, very wrong.
As you say that, you hear familiar sound of a weapon being drawn, and you watch him pull a very nasty looking dagger out and start moving towards you, and he stops just short of invading your personal space with it because he kind of catches himself and very slowly puts the dagger away. Someone so vulgar and lowborn should not speak such an elegant language. You dirty it with your pronunciation. And you can see, like, despite the fact that he has very little blood, he's starting to show slight signs of getting red in the face, which for a vampire means he's mega pissed.
Argenta's just smirking.
I'll pull out my rapier, not go towards him, just hold it like a cane, kind of, and just.
As you pull the rapier out, the Bloodguard all immediately start reaching for their weapons, and then when you just kind of put it down, they kind of just look at each other and then look at the vampire. And he kind of waves them down.
So what do we owe this meeting?
Well, I certainly didn't run into you. You ran into me, didn't you?
I mean, I suppose that's...
How rude of myself. I certainly would not wish you to be at a disadvantage. I am Elroy of House Valois, and I was sent here to capture and kill you. Obviously, as a mistake.
House Valra Elroy.
We are
Yes.
simply returning to Sanguinius to tell the Council of 13 of our success. You see, I was there in the capital when they executed the criminals. The king was even kind enough to allow me to feed on one, as I had become slightly peckish at that point.
I'll back out, not get back at an angle and hold Rapier out away from them. It's like, well, please, by all means, get your ass out of here. Because you look like you were moving very fast when we walked around the corner.
No, you were the ones moving very quickly. I was simply having my afternoon meal, and you came upon us. And it's at this point you guys can now smell the scent of blood in the air.
Do we see the body, or is it like...
If you'd like to make a perception check, you can try and look.
Sure, why not? Dirty 20.
Okay.
What about the perception? 19.
Okay. So you both, you both kind of look at each other at the same time and both realize someone's just been fed on. As you kind of look, Elroy actually moves out of the way, and you can see an older woman, maybe in her late 20s, early 30s, on the ground. There is no blood around here, but you can see a little bit dripping from her neck. Ah, yes. Another criminal. And due to a writ from the king, we've been given permission to try and punish any criminals that directly commit crimes against me or any of my gods.
I'm just gonna insight check criminal. Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
let's see here. That's gonna be not great, but 14.
Okay.
21.
So Argenta, you just get a bad feeling from him.
Yeah.
Commander, you can tell he's really enjoying describing this woman as a criminal and showing her to you with the fact that at least from what you can get from his body language, it seems that he thinks there's nothing you can do about it. So it's very much a power trip for him. Beyond that, though, you can't really get exactly what he means by criminal by just looking at him.
So you have a right to eat or feed on claimed criminals against you.
I was enacting
But what could an
justice.
old woman be a criminal against you for?
She assaulted one of my men.
Oh, did she? With what, I wonder?
With her very presence. We were walking. We told her to move out of the way. She didn't do it fast enough.
So because
must
she was
say-
slow, you could assume she's a criminal.
In Sanguinius, if a mere peasant had done what she had done, she would have gone.
But we're not in Sanguinius, are we?
No, but again, I have a writ from the king that allows me to enact Sanguinian law when I see fit.
Did it say exactly enact sanguineous law, or did it say enact as a criminal against you in this country?
It says whatever I decide.
Oh, so now it's just a free writ for you to say whatever you want. It's funny how it keeps changing.
Unless you happen to be law enforcement, it doesn't concern you.
Oh, but no, I could find some real quick.
You're welcome to speak to whomever you would like in this city.
What do you think, Argenta?
And he just keeps staring you down. Like he
Oh,
won't
I don't
break
I
eye
don't break eye-
contact.
Neither do I.
I think the only thing between him and a very bad day is a parasol, and he should keep moving.
Is that a threat? Miss Argenta, perhaps you don't understand. You've been found innocent of the crime I was originally dispatched for. That does not mean you cannot be found guilty of another crime.
Oh no, it's not a threat. It's only a threat if your pride is that fragile. And I step out of the way and gesture for him to keep moving.
Fine. As he goes by, he leans in very close to the commander. We both know what you did.
Do we?
And if I ever find you in a place where you are not protected by this bastard of a king, I will make sure you pay. And then he
That
straightens
sounds
up
like a threat.
and walks away, and the blood guard follow after him.
I just take a deep sniff in, and in hushed vampire, I say, I know your scent. And then I go and check on the woman's corpse.
And as they walk away, I do the arm to the elbow crease, flip off kind of thing
Oh,
as
yeah,
they walk
yeah.
away.
Sitting there going, what are you talking? Oh, okay. The body is still in the middle of the kind of side street you guys turned onto.
Is she dead?
Yeah, she's cold.
I'll check for a pulse just to be sure.
No pulse.
I turn to Commander. You know, it'd be real interesting if we buried her. That'd be a story.
Oh, I don't want to test that theory out at all.
As you guys are standing there, a man comes running around the corner, maybe 19 or 20, and he's got what looks like a broken chair leg in his hand.
I
And-
say so.
He sees you leaning over the bodies, and you watch him spit. You bloody vampires! And he comes over and he takes a swing at you, Argenta.
Cool.
And he gets a nat 20. Sorry.
Any chance I could block it with my rapier?
It's fine.
not a nat 20.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anything else, maybe. Don't worry, it's a d4 damage, and I rolled 3 on 2d4.
Okay.
So you take a grand total of 4 damage.
Okay, so
It
what I
has a
do,
strength mod. And he
What I do-
clocks you upside the head.
I'm just going to stand up, gonna attempt to grapple him.
Go for it.
24.
Yeah, it doesn't put up a ton of resistance, though he's stronger than he looks.
Okay. And then I headbutt him once to return the favor. That's a 20 to hit.
Yeah, you hit.
He takes 4 non-lethal damage.
And he's sitting there and he's spitting at you. He's like, fucking vampires.
I smile wide to show him my teeth. I'm not a vampire.
And he kind of
Nitwit, we're standing out in sunlight.
calms down. He fights it. He's trying to get out of your grip, Argenta.
I let him go at that point.
And he falls down and he kind of cups the cheek of the dead woman. He looks up. My sister. Fucking vampire. He didn't have the right.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. They're pieces of shit.
You see him just start picking up the body and taking it away.
I'm just gonna roll a religion check. 3. I'm not. I can't warn him. Okay.
What would you be warning him about?
Not to bury it.
Well, with in order to what's happened to her is she's just dead and doesn't have any blood. There, in order to like sire a vampire or anything like that, there's actually a ritual that takes place.
Okay,
So it's
gotcha.
not anyone a vampire bites.
Yeah, it's not getting bit by a werewolf.
Yeah, vampires are much more sophisticated.
I kind of just caught him. You need coin for the funeral?
He kind of looks at you defiantly. Oh, Mike, do?
I just nod to him.
He walks around the corner.
Looks like we have a vampire on our shit list.
And even more so, one I'm still hunting is.
At least there's no more cities between he and his. He called this country godforsaken. That's kind of ironic, anyway.
Fair enough.
He has, at least there's no more cities between him and his actual godforsaken country.
Yeah. Problem is, he knows that we're still alive, and he's just going to tell everybody. So that means
I'm
more
sure-
odds on us.
Well,
I'm sure
technically,
they all-
everybody knows you're alive.
Fair. Okay, I didn't think about that.
Like any vampire with half an ego in a dark alley is going to be after us.
Which is every vampire.
Yeah.
We need to load up on silver. Lots of silver.
Silver's for where I'm from. Vampire don't like that holy man water.
Oh, then holy water. We need to get a lot of that. We need to get blessed weaponry.
First, we need to find an inn because they're going to be forever in that library.
Yeah. So we go searching.
And it takes you another like 10-15 minutes. You do find a pretty decent inn. You're able to get lodging for the night and everything. Going back to Vala. What were you doing again? I've got 3 parties right now.
Yes. So I have read through the book of the temple or of the guiding beacon
Yes.
and not found anything similar to my own experiences.
Okay.
So whatever power I'm communicating with, probably not the guiding beacon. I'm gonna look through the temple or the Dark Lady,
Okay.
the very thin book, and just kind of see if there's any similarities between what I've experienced and what they're writing.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
8.
This one is even more bizarre. This one doesn't seem like propaganda. This almost seems like a fever dream. It talks about being trapped in a place where it's surrounded by darkness, except for a small circle of light. And the darkness having form and weight to it, and noises and voices coming from the darkness, but he was never able to understand it. And the rest of the book is him like just writing down gibberish and word sounds and stuff like that, and trying to see if there were, like, he tries a couple different ciphers. He tries to, like, it's just this kind of workbook of him trying to figure out this gibberish.
But no warm light.
No, the only kind of feeling descriptions he put, because he's very detailed account. He talked about the darkness being cold but enveloping. At the same time, he talked about being very scared, and that the voices made his head hurt and things like that. But nothing kind of warm, and definitely nothing about light.
Okay. Well, this was helpful. All right, I will kind of turn to the two, or I'll like go to pick up one of the books to go put it back.
And the paladin just kind of takes it from you and puts back both books after making sure you're done. And then they take you back out to wait for the rest of the party.
Okay. I will. I will then thank them for their time. They've been very helpful. I will contemplate on what I've learned, and then on my way out, I will make a donation of 20 gold to the temple.
Okay. Henri's, since you're still back there, you were able to find a little bit of information about the very specific thing you were looking for. And then we already talked about the rest of the history you were finding. Is there any other sections you wanted to look over?
What were the other sections again?
You had genealogy, which is where you were in. You had actual history of Sanguinius, which would involve like wars, civil wars, fighting between the houses and things like that. There was now I can't remember. Damn. History there. Oh, there was one about kind of just what happens with the regular people, and I think there was a section about the vampires themselves. Like their customs and stuff that the general populace doesn't know.
I would pick up the book on the vampires, but before I start reading it, I want to ask the paladin outside,
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time limit I have in here?
Until you are done, we would prefer that you leave by sundown or shortly afterwards, but you're here on business of the king. We will not impede that.
Okay. And then right before I close the door, I'll be like, because I plan on being here all night and all.
Okay. You still there? I think we've lost. There you go.
Talking to me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second there.
Oh, my internet's been weird. So I don't know what the last thing you heard was.
I plan to be there all night.
Oh, okay, yeah, and then I'll start reading the book on the vampires, and then after that, the history, and specifically on the magic they use to block the sun.
Okay.
Is
So,
what
the history section would just be like what you'd find in a history textbook. 1492, there was a war between House Evero and House Dampierre. Stuff like that. The vampire culture section, which is an entire section of the library, so many, many books. So throughout the night, you are able to learn. They have druids that they employ that specifically ensure that it is always overcast above the vampire houses, and when they travel, they generally travel with druids specifically so they can use their abilities without having to worry about sunlight. The only time that changes if they have to go into generally just Valakovia, because Funrish, nobody cares. They won't do that simply because it pisses off the Valakovians. And that's when they bring with them a servant with a parasol.
Okay. And if sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if it matters, I did take Eyes of the Roomkeeper on level up. If that matters for what's written that I can read.
Yeah. For the most part, this is written by Valakovians, so
Okay.
it's generally written in common. There might be a few sections that are written in Vampire, just because they were copied, but translations are written next to them because this is designed to be used by Valakovians.
Okay.
Anything else? Like, you have the whole night. Any other things we can kind of knock out real quick that you learned?
And anything and everything on House, what was it, Don Pierre and Merovingian? Because those were the two that we had issues with.
Well, you were the vampire was from Merovingian, and you were actually captured and held in Donjo.
Yeah, then any information on Donjo.
Okay.
That's
So, Donjo, traditionally, other than the Blood Capital, Donjo is the kind of judicial house. They deal with laws. They're the ones that clarified how the blood tax worked, how other taxes, that's the legal house. And when there are dealings that require a ruling, you can consider them kind of just below the Supreme Court. The Blood Capital does have the final say. They have their own judges and things like that there. But other than like international incidents in that, most of the time, if there needs a judicial ruling, it goes to Donjo, and they also have the authority to enact justice. Though that's not technically their primary. It's more ruling on cases than it is enacting justice. But they have that authority.
all right. And when I'm done, I will, if he's still awake, apologize to the paladin.
Mhm.
I'll offer him some coin, and if he can't accept it, I'll just make a donation to the temple in his name.
Okay. He says no apologies necessary. He doesn't take the coin. And by the time you're done, it is pre-dawn.
And then I'll just make, because I really like that guy, I'll make 100 gold donation in his name.
Okay. Lillian, was there anything else you wanted to do before meeting up with Raven again?
When they don't let me into the secret set and other go to the noble. It is set and I will whenever I can find on how they go, how Merovingian and how they're about.
What was the last one? Oh, Dumont?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the history you're able to find does mention Donjo as the judicial headquarters. You do find out that each house specializes in a particular magic, though it doesn't actually list it in there. Merovingian tends to be artists, and it's kind of an art capital. And then Domont is known for their what is it? Negotiations. They a lot of the ambassadors and things like that are members of House Domont. So after reading for a little bit, you do see Vala eventually come down, and the two of you leave to go find Commander and Argenta. Just to kind of move things along a little bit. You do eventually find Argenta and the Commander at a local tavern and inn. Argenta, you were looking for information, right?
Yes, I was gonna ask, like, people that look like, they have traveling garb and all that. If they've seen anything or heard about anything weird happening around the border between here and Sanguinius.
Oh, good question. Make me a persuasion check.
Cool. Natural 20.
All right. So you ask a couple people, and you're close enough to the border that you get quite a few weird stories. Half of them are bullshit. Just like stories you tell kids to make sure they don't get out of bed or brag in that. Of the other half, quite a few of the weird encounters are just them dealing with vampires and being kind of put off by them. You do have one story you hear about just something very strange happening where he was walking through the forest, heard a loud explosion, and from pretty far away, he ran over, and by the time he got to the area, there was this very large, perfectly circular area where the ground was kind of scorched, but it wasn't like burnt or anything. It looked like the grass had been ripped out and the trees had been uprooted and stuff like that in this kind of circular spiral pattern.
I'm gonna pester some more and ask him, like, where was he when this happened?
He was actually south of the temple, east of the Temple of the White Sage, roughly about there. So actually, pretty far away from the border.
All right.
So other than that's the only weird story you heard.
I look at the commander in Elvish because he's spoken to the Henri in Elvish before. That's strange.
Yeah, pretty strange. Sorry, Joey, I didn't really see it. I was looking away when you pointed it out. Where was that exactly?
Oh, it's right around here-ish.
Okay.
Did you see it? Yeah, it's due west of the Holy City, probably about 3-4 days journey.
Okay. Would I know about anything in that area, having grown up in the Holy City?
That particular area is food production. So it is still like this from like Nurturing Gardener all the way down to the river that comes out of that big lake next to the Holy City. That whole area is generally some form of food production. The more northern you go, the more like berries and things that can grow in cold climates you get. Further south you go, you start getting like this area here. You do have farms and things like that, dairy farms and stuff. But there are still some wooded areas in between farms and that. So, but it's not. It's one of the more sparsely populated areas, simply because farms take up a lot of space, and then just to keep like the ground from having to deal with mudslides from deforestation and that, they place the farms far enough apart that there's still a lot of forest there too. So,
Do you think that's something we should look into? I don't know, we're kind of on a time schedule.
We're not really on a time schedule, but
Or we're on a mission, I guess you could just say. Not a time schedule, but a mission. But
my only way is that if this is part of our benefactors, just in case everybody knows Elvish, I'll use that term. Part of our benefactors' plans, things go awry.
yeah. I don't know, we'll talk to the group, see what everyone else thinks, and figure it out.
All right.
so about 5 minutes after you have this conversation, Val and Lillian come in and they see you. You guys have taken over a corner table to have a little more privacy.
And I tell them the entire story.
Yeah,
Of
They fill you in on the vampire and the strange story they heard.
so there's a vampire called Elroy. If we meet him in a dark alley, he said he'd kill us. So
yeah, he's very
Well,
interesting.
there-
I don't
there-
know
there-
what his deal was, but yeah.
Do you guys tell me about the dead girl?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's mostly him being an ass and not really anything to do with us. So
Well,
This is
no.
true.
I'm glad I wasn't there.
Yeah, you could have gotten bit again.
Yeah.
How did you- Oh, you meant the werewolf. Never mind.
you see, I don't think the vampire was much of a threat because you just cut the parasol and he kind of has to run away. It's mostly the 8 blood god that we would have had to fight.
Okay, hold on. Can we go back to the
Dude.
So,
Never mind, Valid. Don't worry about it.
so, yeah, I don't know. How much does anybody here know about the guiding beacon?
Unrees mentioned it a couple times.
Uh, it's a shame he's not here to talk.
Would I know much
I'm-
about that, Jody, since growing up in the Holy City and everything?
You know
Of him?
the elevator pitch.
Yeah,
You know,
good stuff.
if you
thank you.
seek light and you seek to destroy darkness, head over to the Temple of the Guiding Beacon for 2 for Tuesday.
I personally worship the Raging Dervish, but it's more of a loose worship.
Able to be with the dark lady.
Wow, what's your question?
So, this is going to sound really stupid. So, a couple years ago, I began feeling a connection to the light.
As
And
you say this, you suddenly feel a tap on your shoulder. As you turn around, a barmaid is there, and she's got a drink in her hand, and she places it in front of you.
Oh.
He goes, this is a gift for you. Oh, and she pulls out a flower and gives it to you. I was told to give you this as well.
From who?
Oh, it's when he was there a second ago. It was this really lovely man, beautiful, dreamy, kind of green eyes. Anyway,
Pale?
I guess a little bit. He could use a little sun.
He could use a very lot of it. What kind of flower? Do I recognize it?
Daisy.
Hmm.
Oh.
He said something about she's so famous now. I don't know. He seemed to have an eye for you, miss.
Thank you.
Wish I could get a man to look at me that way.
No, you don't. You really, really don't. And I'll just set those aside and thank her. If you see him again, let me know. I want to surprise him with a song.
Oh, you're a singer. That's so lovely. Right.
Yes.
If I see him again, I'll have one of the girls come over because he'd kind of get a picture if I was the one to come over.
Yes. Don't bring any attention to it. Thank you.
I reach back and I'll hand her like 6 silver drink for the rest of us as well.
Okay. She heads off. Val, as you're sitting there, something smells off, and you look at the drink. It's deep red, kind of viscous liquid.
I
thicker.
push it away.
I'm just gonna look at the drink and sniff it.
It's blood, but it has spices in it.
Oh, how nice.
Vala. No, you,
There are so many things. I can only deal with one existential crisis at a time.
I kind of look at Vala and I'm just like, so, is there something you have to tell us?
I hate vampires a lot.
I know this. But why are you,
That's
Why-
true.
why are you getting like an actual Bloody Mary?
Was her name Mary?
Not
I
good.
don't know.
Argenta, take inspiration for that.
Blow the DM.
That was great.
The vampire you ran into in the street, what did he say his name was?
Elroy?
Elroy. What house was he from?
I have it here. Give me a second. Background? Yeah. House Valois.
Hmm. Well, there's a vampire that wants me dead. Or there's a vampire that wants me undead.
So somebody's looking to raise you, turn you,
Yes.
however they say it.
Yes. It happened a while ago. And I ran. It feels like a lifetime ago.
So you're from Sanguinius?
Yes, I was born in Sanguinius. But you knew that. I never lied about that. I haven't lied about anything, really.
I mean, neither have I. I was just confirming.
But if he's here, he's been following me. He
Without
finally
a-
found me.
Without a parasol, girl.
Without a parasol, girl. Is it dark out?
Now it is, yeah, yeah. It's pretty late.
So what house are we avoiding?
Um, well, I don't know that that matters anymore. If
I
he's
mean,
found me,
that's fair. I mean, it's him and not his house.
as far as I know,
Hmm.
he's from House Laval. I mean, if he had the resources of the house trying to track me down, there would have been blood guards surrounding this place. I don't know what his game is, but this is not what I want to be dealing with right now. But I think he's been tracking me since, oh God, since back when we were still in Dormay. The second time.
I wonder how a vampire goes about traveling cross country on their own. They have to like bury themselves every pre-dawn.
I don't know, and quite frankly, I hope not to find out firsthand.
You said you were a criminal. Do you know what this is? 76.
I don't know. We met. He was charming. I think he may have charmed me, and somehow I got away and I ran. I went to the other side of the country, tried to lay low, and things were good. I had a good life. It was fine. And then I thought I was getting called by the Dark Lady. But apparently the Dark Lady doesn't really deal in light very much. She's not an agent of the light. So maybe it's the guiding beacon that's been calling to me to spread light and to destroy evil and destroy the undead. But now I question that too. And if it's not, are there any of the other gods that deal in light?
Maybe
And
it's supposed to be like the rainbow in the dark.
that's why I thought the Dark Lady. You know, when people die, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought that was her light, but...
Hmm.
And, you know, maybe the idea... Obviously, my gifts are arcane. And gods usually don't give arcane gifts. But if it's not a god, then what is it?
Hmm.
And now there's a vampire somewhere in this town that is looking for me. Or found me.
I mean,
Were Jody. Was I as a player as a boy no ability to get back
My...
Good question. Um. So, what exactly are you asking?
Well, I whether it would make sense for me to suggest that maybe that power may not be divine and maybe fairy raiders or something else. And
I mean, you wouldn't know for sure because you know a fair amount about magic because blood hunters have kind of an innate magic, a little bit more similar to sorcerers than it would be like wizards. Yeah, you could theorize that, but you really don't know enough about divine magic to be able to say point blank, well, no, that this isn't divine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if it's not, if it isn't a god, I mean, I have heard stories of faith creatures given similar abilities. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many fail about, but we did wasn't that one. And we did see the face.
We did.
I mean, again, I don't know if all of them can do that, or if only it wasn't. Even if your power will be, and then throwing it out there as a possibility.
Yes. Of course, the other thing is that Fae live on another plane of existence. The gods live on another plane of existence.
Yeah.
But interplanar connections aren't possible, right?
As far as we know, unless somebody's pulling bullshit more. Arcane
So, right. So if I'm somehow communicating with something on another plane, that should be impossible.
should.
But if it isn't deity, I mean, a deity might have the power to do something that could be impossible. Anyway, since we do know there are faith people out there, I mean, who knows what else it could be.
I am, by the way, now adjusting myself so that I have like a wall to my back,
Mhm.
and I am facing out
Mhm.
and scanning.
Make a perception check.
Of course. Why would it be anything other than that? 11.
Okay. Looking around, you see no one that would fit the description of the person you're looking for.
Okay.
In fact, looking around, you can see no one that looks even slightly vampire-like.
Based on like where that barmaid was looking when she was trying to look back at him,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna kind of go over and kind of sniff and just kind of look to see how long ago he left, because I did make the undead my favorite enemy.
Okay. Make me a survival check.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's +5, so 17.
So the most interesting thing about this, you can't find any trace of undead.
Mhm.
Like even vampires, who are probably the most kind of presentable, like most undead, like they're rotting, they stink, they leave pieces of themselves. Vampires on the generally have a very pleasant scent and things like that, but they do have a scent. There's nothing here. You can't smell there's no marks. There's nothing that would indicate an undead creature had been here.
I kind of go back and I'm just like, that's. I didn't sense any undead presence. Couldn't find anything.
Hmm. Bella said that some reason what we might be up against. Do you know what his standing might be with the house? Like, is he, do you know if he's high up or he's at the bottom? What was,
I don't really know where he fit in. He seemed powerful, but again, he was just projecting. I've tried to forget so much of that night as much as I can. I mean, I didn't quite stick around to try to find answers as to where he fell in the hierarchy. I wasn't able to get an org chart.
no, I was not.
But it would have been helpful.
Xehanort.
Well, I was just thinking that if we do it up in a conversation with him, it'd be best. It would have been nice to know.
What kind of resources he can bring to bear against us.
Yeah, and what kind of reaction to how my have to disappear.
I mean, I imagine he can probably have a few blood guard with him. But I suspect, I don't know.
What's his name in case we catch wind of him?
Leopold.
Leopold. Of House. What again?
House Laval.
Alright.
Oh,
As you guys are sitting there, the patrons of the tavern are starting to dwindle off. It's gotten really late, and you guys are starting to feel a bit of exhaustion.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
just finish off my drink and I'm gonna go claim one of the rooms we got.
Total for the 3 rooms you guys got would be 3 gold.
Like,
Okay.
wanna split that, Commander? Yeah, I'll cover it.
Yeah, I don't know how you would split 3 between 2, but yeah,
I'll throw in a gold.
Alright.
that's fair.
yeah, so
Alright. So I only spent one.
I'm gonna go up with Argenta, and I'm just going to. Is there a fireplace in the room? A brazier?
Not really. You've got there's a window, there's a wash basin, and then a chamber pot. And the wash basin has a vanity.
Okay. I'm gonna make sure that window is closed.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Detect Thoughts. Second level spell, and I'm going to just spend a minute like focusing around the room to sense thoughts of an invisible creature.
Okay.
Or something just on the other side of a wall.
So Argenta, you watch as Vala comes in and kind of. She goes around the entire room. Nothing.
Okay.
Though, for a brief moment, you do get the thoughts of someone on the other side of the wall, and you're impressed with how thick the walls are. Because you can't hear anything.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, that's that was more than I wanted to know. I'm
See,
gonna then just go back to the bed, sit on it. I'm going to light a candle and just stare into it,
Okay.
into the flames, and contemplate everything that has happened now. Because I'm not sleeping tonight.
Okay.
I just start humming, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer true.
So while those two do that, does anyone else have anything they want to do before they hit the hay?
Yep.
Okay. So you guys are able, except for Vala, which if you do decide to not sleep, you will have one level of exhaustion.
Yep, making a note of it now.
The rest of you guys are able to sleep relatively well. It's a decent inn, and that is where we're going to end it for tonight. So thank you to anyone that tuned in. If you missed any of the episode, they are available on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. Otherwise, that's all for me, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.